Welcome to Retirement DNA Podcast. I'm Dwayne Johnson. We believe you deserve financial advice based on your best interest. In our podcast, we want to discuss all aspects of retirement planning. Today, I'm going to be discussing, will a recession rob you of your retirement, and the 4 things that you can check now. When a recession hits, much more is at stake than the stock market shares. During the Great Depression or Recession, which started back in December 2007 and stretched into June of 2009, not only did Americans lose $16 trillion in net worth, unemployment also increased by 4.5%. And over 8.7 million jobs were lost at that time. And those who relied on selling their homes or real estate properties to help fund their retirements had their hopes dashed when housing prices fell by 33%. So when economists start pointing to signs a recession is on the way, it's a natural feeling that we start feeling anxious. And retirees have fixed income, and those getting ready to begin retirement can feel especially vulnerable when this does happen. But here's the good news. While the economy is largely unpredictable, your retirement income, it doesn't have to be. By getting a clear picture of where your finances stand and creating a plan that takes the worst case scenarios into account, you can feel confident about your retirement even when a recession does hit. So let's talk about the 4 different areas. I'm going to start number 1 with your expenses. Even a prosperous bull market, the list of things to prepare for in retirement, it's lengthy. You have rising healthcare costs, end-of-life expenses, and longer life expectancies. These often top the list. And any financial professional is going to tell you that the earlier you can save, the better off you're going to be. That's pretty common sense. But as many families realize, sometimes building a nest egg takes a backseat to things like what? Maybe buying a house or paying for your kids' college education. In fact, in 2018, a survey by the Federal Reserve found that 1/4 of non-retired adults surveyed had no retirement period. That's kind of a scary thought. And you need to ask yourself, what about you? Recessions often lead to job cuts. And if you had to stop working earlier than you planned, would you be in a tight spot? So what do we need to check? Here's one of the first things on the checklist, your current and future expenses. What you really need to do is sit down and calculate, what have I spent over the last month? And put things on that list, like maybe your mortgage or rent. It might be home rental insurance. You have your utilities, your water, your electric, your gas, auto, payments, insurance, fuel, food, groceries, dining, anything that might go on that list that you have been spending, and you want to total that up. You might even want to wish to factor in healthcare expenses that could arise at the end of your retirement years. Now, based on a recent study, a 65-year-old couple retiring in 2019 could anticipate spending an average of $1,033 a month on healthcare and medical expenses. For a single woman, the cost was approximately about $543, and a single man, $536. Add an amount in that you're going to feel reflects how much you can anticipate spending per month on your health care. And you want to total all that up, and that's going to kind of give you an average of what you're going to spend on an annual basis. Now, of course, these expenses don't include the things you may want to do in your retirement, things like traveling, hobbies, or family visits. These things not only make life more fulfilling, research also shows participating in these activities you enjoy can help lower risk of certain health problems like maybe dementia. So as you consider your expenses, remember to take your dreams into account as well when you're figuring this out. Now, number 2, we want to talk about and look at your assets. Where does your nest egg live right now? If you're like many, your assets are spread out in things like 401ks, mutual funds, and companies and stock options. All those assets are tied up to the market. So during a recession, they could significantly decrease in value. On average, the stock market loses about 13% when we have a correction. So we need to make another checklist, a checklist of your assets that you've accumulated. Take inventory of your accounts. Things like your 401ks, 403bs, maybe your pensions. Some of you have IRAs, stock options, mutual funds, bonds, anything that you have that are assets, and you want to total those up so that you have a good understanding of where you're at. Now consider the expenses you calculated. Would you have enough income to meet those expenses if you lost your job? Could you support your lifestyle if you and your spouse lived to age 80 or 90 or even beyond? Now, according to Social Security Administration, the average 65-year-old man can expect to live to age 84. The average 65-year-old woman can expect to live to age 86 and a half. 1 in 3 65-year-olds will live to age 90, and 1 in 7, age 95. So that brings us to the third thing we want to look at, and an important one. That is your risk tolerance, okay? While investing in market, it is a risk. It is an effective way to grow assets, though, particularly for pre-retirees who get a late start on their savings. But how much of your savings should be invested in the market? And calculating your risk tolerance to the degree of variability in investment returns are you willing to withstand can help you really decide. Many factors go into determining your risk tolerance. A financial professional has access to tools that can pinpoint the exact amount of risk that's appropriate for you. But if you can get a rough idea of how much risk you should be taking within your portfolio by asking yourself a couple questions. And here's a couple of the questions you might want to ask yourself. How much risk should you take on? How much would you feel comfortable losing if your investment had a bad year or maybe even a series of bad years? How soon do you want to retire? These are important questions that you need to ask yourselves. Now, no matter what your risk tolerance is today, it's likely going to change in the future, and you're going to need to rebalance your portfolio or adjust the amount of investments that you have compared to reliable income resources. So reallocating your money often requires reading the fine print. For instance, those in or nearing retirement may want to take funds from their 401k, which is directly tied to the stock market, to lower risk with a financial product that's going to lower that risk. However, because 401ks are tax deferred, moving them to another type of account might cost you in taxes. So there again, a financial professional can work with you and your tax professional to help you ensure that your assets are moved tax efficiently and in the best way that's going to fit your risk tolerance as well. Now, the fourth thing we want to look at is something called income gap. Now, could the total assets that you calculated cover your expenses if you and your spouse lived into your 80s or 90s? And if you came up short, you have an income gap. So by taking action sooner rather than later, it's certainly possible to build up your nest egg to where you need it to before that you retire. But if you're anticipating a recession, especially in the time leading up to your retirement or during the early years of your retirement, you may be hesitant to rely too heavily on a healthy stock market. So you're racing to build up your retirement savings, but weary of investments, large chunks of assets in the stock market. And there are other options for a portion of your retirement assets. Financial products, maybe like annuities, allow you to create income with less reliance on the stock market. Now, annuities are designed to meet long-term needs for retirement income. When you purchase an annuity, you're purchasing a contract from an insurance company. In exchange for the premium you pay, you receive certain fixed or variable interest crediting options that compound interest tax deferred until withdrawn. Now, when you're ready to receive income, an annuity offers a variety of guaranteed payout options. Okay, now, if you want the potential to earn interest on your premiums to help catch up on those years of savings, fixed index annuities could be worth exploring. The fixed index annuity combines the benefit of tax deferral with the potential of interest based on positive changes of an external index or measurement of the section of the stock market without actual participation in the market. So how does this work? The insurance company uses a crediting method to track the performance of index during a specific period of time. And at the end of each time period, the company is going to calculate the index interest. If the result is positive, the annuity is credited interest up to a permitted amount. If the result is negative, nothing happens and the annuity value doesn't decline. That's where they come up with that principal protected, where you can't lose your principal. And it's a great way to maybe overcome an income gap or do income planning by using these. Now, you don't really let the market determine your lifestyle in retirement. You don't need a bull market to guarantee a great retirement. One of the keys to a comfortable lifestyle in any economy is planning ahead. Now, the thought of building a plan on your own sometimes can be overwhelming, but there is help for that. You've worked hard for your retirement. Don't let a recession rob you of a comfortable living. And making a plan can be as easy as sitting down with a financial professional and going through what your needs and goals are. So that's all we really have today. So our main goal at the Dwayne Johnson Group and Bridger Financial Services is to make sure our clients know that they make it to and through retirement and can spend with confidence during those years. We want to make sure they have financial security in any economy. So thank you for listening to the Retirement DNA podcast today. If you have any questions or would like to sit down with us for an initial consultation and see if you are on track to meet your secure retirement, please give us a call at 951-244-6702. Again, it's 951-244-6702. And if you like what you've heard, please subscribe to our bi-weekly podcast, and please tell your friends and family if they think they could benefit from hearing this information also. Also check us out at DwayneJohnsonGroup.com and BridgerFinancialServices.com. Have a great day, and thank you for listening.
Investment advisory services offered through Bridger Financial Services, LLC, a registered investment advisor in the state of California. Insurance products and services are offered through Dwayne Johnson Group, LLC, affiliated company. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims paying abilities of the issuing carrier. This podcast is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual situation. Dwayne Johnson Group, LLC is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during the show shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein provided by third parties have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by Dwayne Johnson Group, LLC.